Much like every topic has its misconceptions, longevity has its own set of myths. As public interest grows and the industry becomes more popular, some of these myths have also spread. But in the best myth-busting fashion, we'll now talk about some of the most common misconceptions people might have and split what is true from what is not. We'll start with a big one. Myth number 1. Longevity is mostly determined by genetics. The claim is that you either have long life genes or you don't. But that's wrong. Let's start with the basics. Our bodies are indeed complex machines that need to follow a set of instructions to function. Our genes. Each gene contains part of the information that shows cells what to do, when, how much to do it, and etc. Together, these genes form your DNA, which is the body's blueprint passed down from your parents, holding all your inherited traits. This full genetic content is what we call your genotype, and how it is expressed physically is your phenotype. So yes, you do get a bunch of factory presets from your parents, just like they did from their parents and so on. But genes aren't necessarily the problem. What really matters is how your genes are expressed, and that's where epigenetics come in. It refers to the chemical switches on top of your DNA that regulates which genes are going to be active and which won't. And that's great news, because while you can't change your DNA, you can strongly influence its expression, your epigenome. And there are 4 main ways of doing it, and I have already mentioned them in our previous video. They are sleep, diet, exercise, and your environmental exposures. So here are a few examples of how that works. A diet high in sugar and other processed foods, for example, can switch on genes linked to fat storage and insulin resistance, increasing the risk of type 2 diabetes. On the other hand, regular aerobic exercise activates genes that improve insulin sensitivity, helping to protect against diabetes and obesity. Another great example is with sleep. Consistent good sleep supports genes that regulate your circadian rhythm, keeping metabolism and hormones balanced. And finally, your environment. Exposure to cigarette smoke can turn off protective genes, making it easier for a cancer to develop, for example. But even if you have genes that could make you prone to gaining weight more easily, for example, managing those 4 pillars will remediate, greatly decrease, and in some cases might even completely avoid the impacts of a pre-existing condition in your life. So don't blame the genes, change the signal. Myth number 2 is about the superfoods and supplements that will make you live longer. The claim is that eating things like blueberries, kale, turmeric, or some other miracle food will dramatically extend your lifespan. The idea that a single food like blueberries, turmeric, or green juice you buy at your local healthy cafe can dramatically extend your life is a myth. Scientific research consistently shows that it's the overall dietary pattern, not only one miracle ingredient or supplement, that makes the difference. A landmark analysis of 195 countries published in the Lancet in 2019 found that a poor diet was linked to 11 million deaths worldwide in 2017. The biggest dietary problems were not the absence of exotic superfoods, but rather too much sodium and too little whole grains, fruits and nuts, for example, which can be translated into an unbalanced diet. This makes diet one of the leading risk factors against longevity, above even smoking in many regions. Another study in recent years tested the effects of the Mediterranean diet in over 7,000 people. Participants who followed this diet rich in vegetables, fruits, olive oil, nuts, legumes, and fish had about 30% fewer major cardiovascular events compared to those on a low-fat diet. But more importantly, it wasn't the olive oil or nuts alone that explained the results, but the dietary pattern as a whole. Other large reviews confirmed that dietary diversity and balance, especially eating more whole foods and fewer processed products, is the foundation of health and a longer life. So healthy foods and supplements, when needed, have their benefits and should be included in a balanced diet. Don't count on one magic berry or the ancestral powder that will add decades to your life. So just be mindful about what powerful marketing campaigns try to sell you. What truly matters is the pattern you build in the long term. A balanced, diverse, and mostly plant-rich diet, consistently followed over years. Myth number 3 is that longevity breakthroughs will come mainly from futuristic technology like pills, gene editing, cryogenics, and etc. The claim is that real gains in life and health span will come from biotech, not everyday lifestyle. That can be true, but not necessarily. We should absolutely acknowledge the role of technology in our lives. Modern living is safer, more comfortable, and more efficient because of it. We have electricity, refrigeration, clean water, vaccines, antibiotics, and apps that can solve almost anything. These are extraordinary achievements that have already added decades to average life expectancy. And imagine how much more we can achieve with new discoveries that are targeting longevity specifically. But when it comes to extending our health span today, this science is clear. The biggest proven levers are still the basics: nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress management, and social connection. The Global Burden of Disease study published in the Lancet in 2019 showed that poor diet alone accounts for about 11 million deaths annually, worldwide, more than tobacco in some regions. Other lifestyle factors such as inactivity, poor sleep, and chronic stress contribute massively to early aging and decline. These are not problems that futuristic pills or gene edits can currently solve. Meanwhile, well-studied lifestyle interventions show consistent results. A large cohort study from Harvard published in 2018 found that people who adopted just 5 low-risk habits: eating well, moving regularly, maintaining healthy weight, not smoking, and moderate alcohol intake gained 12 to 14 extra years of life. Most of them free of chronic disease. That's an effect size no pill or biotech therapy has matched in humans. So what's the takeaway? Is that futuristic technology may one day play a bigger role in longevity, but the most powerful tools for living longer and better are already in our hands. And in most cases, without incurring on any, or at least not sizable, extra costs to your currently living expenses. The basics of everyday life done consistently are what translate best into more healthy years.